he was at in the room to what we call rake and break them, to try to clear the glass out and basically the curtains so we could see inside and maybe get a communication with him. Once we got up there and was able to do that, the fire had already started getting pretty bad, smoke filling the house. We was able to communicate with him and determine through communicating with him that he was hit and he was down. Once we was able to, usually takes several months. Anybody have any questions?
Where was the deputy shot?
The deputy was not shot.
What are the extent of the injuries of the suspect, and have you released his name yet?
His name is William Scrub Brewer. He is I believe he's in his 50s. Lives there in the Rum Road community, Westfield. His extent of his injuries, based upon what we seen on scene and talked to staff at the hospital and family, he was hitting the arm, he was hitting the leg, and he was hit right around the waist and once up on the shoulder area. Now, as far as the extent of them, I don't know for 100%, but I do know I've talked to him this morning. He is in still critical condition and in intensive care.
And FDLE, they've already begun their investigation to the shooting?
They have.
Is the deputy who fired the shots on leave?
There was 3 deputies there, 2 deputies in one car and one in the other one. They are on paid administrative leave for a number of days, which is standard protocol for any kind of officer involved shooting. They will have to get an evaluation fit for duty to come back to work.
Can you give the exact address?
1050 Rum Road is where the shooting occurred.
Rum?
Rum Road, like the drink.
Did you say William Scrub Brewer?
Yes, I'm not sure Scrub is his actual legal middle name. That's what everybody in the community knows him by. It may be a nickname, but everybody in the community knows him by Scrub.
And does Mr. Brewer have any prior record with local law enforcement?
He does. I'm not sure exactly how many years ago, but he was arrested for another firearm incident, and he was recently arrested within the last year for other incidents.
What's the protocol when dealing with situations like this?
Well, protocol basically is when deputies are on scene, they're first and foremost is to protect themselves. When we get there, we're able to calm down a little bit, and the scene's over with. You start piecing the puzzle together. I mean, it's basically one big puzzle, and you try to put the pieces where they need to go. And but furthermost, as in law enforcement, we try to do our job without us getting hurt or anybody else getting hurt. That's the ultimate goal. But sometimes things happen that's out of our control, and we don't have control over, and we have to react to. But at the end of the day, we all have families. We all want to go home to those families. Also, I'd like to thank fire personnel and EMS. They were a big help in this. I mean, with the house on fire and stuff, of course they couldn't enter the zone until we made it safe, but they were there waiting, and their quick response was able to keep the house from burning down. So, big hand out to them for their help. And when things like this happen in Holmes County, everybody usually comes together to get the job done, and that's what living in a small county like Holmes is. We all work together, whether it be a hurricane, shooting, or whatever. The community comes out. Each department comes together.
Do you know how long it took to kind of get control of the place?
I can tell you the actual domestic call coming at 1:03 p.m. That's when the deputies responded. I can tell you that they arrived at the suspect residence at 1:47 p.m. and then we actually removed him from the house at 2:34 p.m. So from the time the shooting occurred to the time he was removed from the house was about 45 minutes.
So all 3 of the deputies are on administrative leave?
Right.
Who called his mom?
His mother made the initial 911 call, stating that there had been a disturbance between her and her son. When the deputies got on scene, there was physical marks of where the altercation had occurred, and basically they went up there to make contact with the other half. To, you know, you always get both sides of the story, to get his side of the story, and probably going to affect an arrest on it.
The other agencies that were there, were they local fire agencies, or is the state fire marshal's office involved as well?
In an initial part, the local fire departments came for the extinguishment of the fire, but the fire marshal's office did respond due to the arson, and they're taking part or lead on the investigation of the arson part, and the FDLE's taking lead on the officer involved shooting part.
Can you tell us what his potential charges might be following his recovery?
Following his recovery, he's probably looking at least aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer, arson, of course, a domestic battery on his mom, and then possibly, I'm not sure, I hadn't read the criminal history, but I want to think he may be a convicted felon. So it would be possession of firearm by convicted felon.
I know we reported last night that he threw a cocktail or something.
Well, the deputies, the deputies have body cameras, and of course, you know, the FDLE has them. But from what we understand is, when they was at the door, there was a door closed between them, and they was communicating, and all they seen was a ball of fire. Okay, we're not exactly sure if it was a Molotov cocktail or what exactly it was. All we know, he set fire to inside the house at 2 locations. You know, when they told me on scene, that's what I associated with, was some kind of Molotov cocktail. It could have been something else that he set fire with, but it was a fireball that, you know, they seen through the door.
Anything else? Alright.
Anybody got any questions? Anymore?
So none of the deputies were injured?
None of the deputies were injured. One of our vehicles was hit by a round, but none of the deputies were injured.